Hey guys, it's Matt here once again, and this is supposed to be primarily mostly like Necro D2 style video for a guide, but I did want to quickly cover the quality of life that's coming to PoE. Currently, to begin with, this one in particular, the pause issue, but then also they're going to be adding more quality of life, and it's kind of just like a teaser season upon us. So for the next 1 or 2 weeks, we'll probably find out some pretty good stuff coming to PoE 1 with the new league. To start with, yep, they're showing us that pause is coming to the game. This is one I actually did not really expect to show up in PoE 1. We've had it in PoE 2, and let me tell you, it feels fucking good. Like PoE 2, pause, and then playing Last Epoch single player for most of the time, and then also like D2R modded single player. I was playing all of those. All of those had pause, and I loved it. I actually really like the addition. I wasn't like using it to cheese any mechanics or some shit. I wasn't using it to, just pause whenever I thought I was in danger. It's just super nice quality of life to be able to pause when something else is happening in your life. Something you got to address on your other monitor, something you got to, quickly address to text or some shit. It just feels so good and so clean to have pause. And I'm pretty damn happy that this one's coming to PoE 1. Very surprised. I didn't think PoE 1 would have this because, I don't know, it's just such a different thing, different beast altogether, and it has been the way it has been all along, except for like Ultimatum. And then everyone wanted the Ultimatum pause thing across the entire game, and I just didn't think that was something they'd budge on. So that is a really good start for the future of the other quality of lives. And some other stuff has happened across, the gaming sphere in the ARPGs, especially in PoE 2, that makes you think it's probably time for some other quality of life to show up in PoE 1. And given that they're saying they're going to be adding a lot of quality of life stuff, I am at this point expecting the breach cluster splinter thing to show up in PoE 1 that came from PoE 2 just recently, which is a big deal. And I'd honestly be disappointed if they didn't, because it just makes no sense to not have it transgress both games. But on top of that, I think maybe there's going to be some other currency kind of stack stuff as well, because it's very much overdue and about time for PoE 1 to have that as well. Just lots of stacks of currency nearby. When you click one, it suctions up a lot of them, like vacuum tech basically. I'm not like too sure it'll be coming, but I think it's definitely about time that something like that happens. So hopefully with the breach splinter tech, we got some other tech coming in that regard as well. People saying maybe the strongbox stuff, hopefully something like that. You can use currency on strongboxes as you come across them, just underneath them. I think the UI for it, or at least like the clicking of it and stuff, is a little clumsy at the moment. So if they're going to implement that, I do want that to be a little better. Other than that, I think an ID all button is very much overdue in PoE 1. And if that doesn't show up, I mean, I'll be kind of sad. Once again, I'll be kind of disappointed because playing PoE 1, doing one map and then seeing your inventory and having to like ID all this shit after playing things like PoE 2 and coming back to D2, and then just having to individually click ID and individually sort, that shit is starting to grate on you, right? Knowing that the tech as is outside of this world somewhere else. So hopefully ideal, hopefully some more vacuum tech, but overall, yeah, just the pause thing to begin with means that shows to me that they're starting to mean business about quality of life, and I think there's going to be some good stuff coming, and this new league and expansion should be a big one. So with that said, I did want this video to be kind of about D2, which I'm still playing, which is Project Diablo 2, the big modded version of Diablo 2 with the original graphics and all that. I've still been playing it and still been having a lot of fun with a new class or a new attempt at another build, and that is the Poison Dagger Necro. So we've still got two to 3 weeks of, just chilling, blasting, and this is still a pretty damn good game to waste some of your time with, and hopefully look forward to more stuff in the future. So the previous character was pretty damn fun. I'm still discovering what is happening in this game for, what the differences are for like loot and content and specific skills. And for me as a big D2 fanboy, like it's a bit of a novelty to see what some people have cooked up in terms of like future, what would have been for a future D2 in development. So This one, I've always loved Poison on Necro, especially Poison Nova, and in this version of the game, they have made Poison Dagger pretty damn relevant. One of the premier Poison builds out there, because the single target on it can be pretty damn substantial compared to what a normal Poison build does in original D2 style gameplay, and then it also has Prolif, very similar to how you could enjoy and play a Viper Strike of the Mamba. Once something dies, it will then carry on its poison to something nearby, as long as it's nearby enough. Now, don't get me wrong, this does not come close to the satisfaction that is poison from Viper Strike of Mamba. That poison prolif is just S tier and possibly one of the most satisfying things you will play in any ARPG. This one, it's just decent. Like the splash or overlap range isn't absolutely massive. It does require mobs to be pretty nearby, and then you don't quite have that like huge poison damage that instantly evaporates a mob that then just spreads all over the place. And packs in this game are not quite as typically dense as what you could expect in PoE, so it's hard to like properly chain lots of poison prolif, but it's still enough, and especially on certain maps and certain tile sets and certain farm content, it's still enough to have some pretty good feeling of prolif. The big issue with the build like this is there are still poison immunities in this game. So if you're going to be running maps, which is the end game content in this mod, then you will be running across certain mobs that are just straight up immune to poison, like they cannot have their poison immunity broken, and then you need to rely on things like your Merc to have secondary amounts of damage that help kill those poison immunities. So it can be pretty damn annoying. So it's still pretty much reminiscent of a time-old problem from Diablo 2 where you play a build and then you essentially have to pick certain content that your character is going to be good at and stay in your lane, stick to that content, because you really don't want to be doing a lot of the stuff that's difficult or frustrating for your build. You instead want to do what it excels at, and this one excels at anything that doesn't have poison immunity pretty much, slightly more melee style mobs, and the campaign in general. So campaign farming is just an absolute breeze on this thing, like probably the easiest Traversal style farmer I've had, probably some of the easiest, like Chaos and Chaos Sanctuary and like Worldstone and Bale and all that. Very easy farm for all of those. But the good thing about this build is that it can also take on the larger bosses. It's pretty damn hard to get that to happen for like a Necro on regular D2, because it just tapers off and the power level scaling of like poison damage isn't really there without insane investment. On this, it does not take too much to get like a couple of high runes worth of gear, let's say, and then being able to take on the end game bosses. So this is the Uber Tristram, where you fight the three versions of Bale, Diablo, and Mephisto that are slightly beefed up, and Bale goes down pretty easily. Mephisto, we really do not want to be face tanking, so we basically can't stab him without just really risking our life every time we do so. But luckily, our Prolif actually comes in clutch here, and all we do is run away from him and just stab his minions, and then eventually he'll run over some of those minions and Prolif the poison onto himself. So I actually killed Mephisto just by running around and never actually really hitting him, which is kind of funny. So that's one of the strong suits of the Poison Dagger there. And then Diablo doesn't really do too much. You just have to kind of face tank and do a bit of potion chug spam. So all in all, yeah, getting Uber Tristram down on a Poison Dagger Necro that only really has probably one expensive item feels pretty good. And I did enjoy playing this character on the whole, just because you can do some pretty nice content as well. So this is a Blood Moon map. It's one of the nicer maps in the game, according to everyone, and I thoroughly agree. It's basically just the cow level, but juiced to the tits. This map in particular, I think, has 200% density. It also, unfortunately, has like 100 attack and cast speed on the enemy monsters, which means it's really kind of hard for me to get a stab in on these cows without getting hit multiple times, and that's pretty tough to navigate. But there's so much density and so many packs that you can actually really see the Prolif going to absolute work here, and it was one of the nicer maps for my character that exist, because there's also no any real immunities on this type of map. It's just a bunch of cows and they don't have any natural immunities here. So the Poison Prolif goes really hard, and it's one of the nicer contents to farm. And yeah, if you can just find lots of this map, because you can't, because it's one of, like, 30 maps that drop, so you can't just chain these things, but it's nice to get one of these done every now and again and get some real proper gaming in. Also did do all 3 Ancients at once for the Uber Ancients. That was actually pretty cruisy. And then tried Diablo Clone. But that was the first time I was fighting that thing, and ended up just coming in a little bit underprepared with not enough potions, and died at, like, I don't know, 50% of the boss's fight HP. You only have 1 portal with that one as well, and it disables your merc, so it's actually kind of scuffed going in there with a first try without knowing what to expect. So yeah, we end up losing the mats on that one. Overall though, very positive experience with the Poison Dagger Necro. Leveled right from level 1 with it up to level 90, and had a lot of fun with it. So let me go ahead and just show you what my character looks like and what gear it's got, etc, etc. So as usual, of course, it's not a very in-depth system or guide to have to explain. It's just a bit of a gear overview and stuff. Level 90 Necro, 42,000 tooltip for our Poison Strike if you need reference point. Actually goes a little bit higher because I'm not wearing my Annihilus Charm, which is +1, so I think I'm at 44,000. And then ultimately, if I add all Poison and Bone Gem charms, I think we'd be hitting about 50k. So theoretically, yeah, about 50k is possible, but just starting Hell and mapping and endgame and stuff, I had about 20k, and that is comfortable enough to get you through, like, some good, nice, solid farm. But as always, just get enough strength and dex for what you need, and then as much vitality as possible. And the sort of skill tree is just do the synergies, so Poison Strike, Desecrate, and Bone Armor. You're spamming Bone Armor whenever you need a bit of extra defense, or it comes from one of your procs as well. We then, in my case, I just went for the Golems and using Blood Golem. Blood Warp is the thing that you get to teleport around a bit more with. Some people like to put a lot of points into this and then teleport much more frequently. I have just done, basically a point, and then just use it every now and again. And then for curses, we went all the way down to lower resist. I then put 10 points into Curse Mastery, so I get a second curse. And then depending on the situation, I'll either Decrepify as well as the lower res, or weaken. A lot of bosses just can't be decrepified, so for example, that's times when you use weaken. You need something like 42 minus all res and lower resist to break most immunities, I think it is. So make sure you do get that pretty high up, because natural poison immunities getting broken feels really good once you got some negative enemy poison res as well. And then there's just going to be some stuff that cannot be broken. So yeah, it can be a bit annoying. Otherwise, you get yourself a, there's like a leveling unique Chris that goes really hard, but then a Venom just, at level 49 with a Mal rune. If it's got +3 Poison Strike as a base, you then have 3 extra Poison Strike as well. It becomes a 6 Poison Strike dagger. And this pretty much carries you your entire time. You can do a slightly bigger weapon, but it costs a lot more. So for, a bit more of a budget, that thing's pretty nice. Trang's Gloves, just some res, and half cannot be frozen, so we become frozen immune eventually. You do want a little bit of attack rating somewhere, because you get a lot of percent attack rating, but almost no flat. So if you get a little bit of flat somewhere, it lets you just hit things much more reliably. Just recently made these boots to like finish off all my res, lots of res and stuff. You do pick up a martyrdom eventually, which is a lot of extra damage. Because it's just lots of extra skills and stuff. But you can use a Trangles combo of belt, gloves, and offhand, and it's very competitive with this setup as well, and very easy to get going. I then used a Guardian Angel for most of this character's career, only up until maybe the last one level. So at level 89, I put together a Bramble and managed to hit 50% poison skill damage. A lot of people instead go something like an Innocence chest, because it just makes you incredibly thick, and then you can actually just run around stabbing stuff much more comfortably. I went with Bramble because I wanted to max out my damage. Managed to hit the 50 poison, which is very lucky, and then we'll sell that to beef up another character. And then just rolled a lot of crafting blood amulets until we got something good. And here we got 2 necro skills with some faster run walk and some other stuff. And then you do want an Endariel's Visage. I managed to slam 3 sockets onto this one, which makes it pretty expensive, but just the default Andy's Visage with some attack speed into it through a jewel, and then get attack speed on other jewels as well to fill out your attack speed, because without any attack speed, this is, most of the character that I played was somewhere around this amount of attack speed, and it's okay, you stab kind of slow and move on. Once you get up to the higher ends of attack speed, it becomes a much more quicker little play style where you just run in, stab, move on, run in, stab, move on. So you do want those attack speed jewels wherever you can get them, and yep, that's kind of how we solved the attack speed issue, just by getting a lucky Andy's Visage. Aside from that, yep, you just try your best to get, some run, walk, and some skills, poison and bone. And eventually, you start fucking shit up. So we fix a lot of our res with the charms, and get a bit of MF as well. And our Merc, I used a Vigor Merc for most of this character, so an Act 1 Fire Merc that has like Vigor, just because it makes you run around a lot faster. Only for the last level or so did I pick up a Barb, just so he can tank for me, and we're not moving too fast through most maps, so just decided, yep, fuck it, we'll have a Barb instead. So yeah, that's basically the whole character. Can recommend. Poison Dagger Necro, very good. There's probably bigger, better guides out there if you want to, truly have a very good character. This is my interpretation of it. It worked pretty fun and pretty well from level 1, especially, if you got some nice leveling uniques to go with it. I'm doing one more character, and there'll probably be a post about that one or a video about that one as well. But then we'll move on and either play some other games or get back to PoE 2, PoE 1, and then hopefully some big PoE 1 content in just a few weeks. So with that, thank you very much for watching. See you guys next time.